Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Janet Anderson. I call to order the Town of Lewisboro Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. Happy Lunar New Year. So the exit for everyone is the way you came in. These exits to my left are for emergencies only. In order to comply with the open meetings law, we must meet in person. We do not have the capacity for the public to attend by Zoom, nor can we stream our meeting to YouTube. We will post an audio recording of this meeting to the town website. Materials considered at this meeting are available in the agenda packet that's posted for this meeting. Members of the public can always express their views by mail or by email to planning@lewisborony.gov. Kirsten Conrad, our Planning Board Administrator, has confirmed that the meeting has been duly noticed. All legal notice requirements have been fulfilled. Joining me tonight from the Town of Lewisboro are members of the Planning Board, Paul Fusco, Charlene Delicato. I do expect Bruce, but we'll see. But in any case, we do have a quorum, and thus we can conduct the business of the board and vote on any matters that come before us tonight. We also have Rick Bolander filling in for Jan Johannesson from KSCJ Consulting. Council Judge Siebert is here from Keenan Bean, Planning Board Administrator Kirsten Conrad, Building Inspector Kevin Kelly, and the CAC Co-Chair Sally Frank. So with that, as we get going, I did want to just put on the record one thing that was different from what was in the recorder. So the vote to waive the public hearing for the creamery was passed 5-0. That was not as reported. So the first item on the agenda tonight is calendar number 06-25PB. This is Mead Chapel at 1 Chapel Road, Wacabuck, New York. An application for a retaining wall and parking spaces. So, should it be? Yeah, okay. I thought I saw you before, yes. So in January, we asked for a few changes to the plans, which included a replacement tree and some signage. I think the CAC had urged us to make sure that the tree that was taken down was replaced. We, among the items left to be done, and as Rick will tell us, made conditions are SHPO and a licensing agreement with the town. So in order not to hold things up, we wanted to go ahead and then try to, as soon as you get those things, you'll be able to move forward without having to come back to us. So we do have a resolution in front of us. Rick, do you want to, and I should say that's been circulated to the board, so we've had a chance to review it. Do you want to go forward?
Absolutely. As discussed with the board and as outlined in our latest comment letter, which I had a chance to review the updated plans and then run through the letter, and looks like everything's been already satisfied in the new plans. Again, as Janet said, the big ticket items are the license agreement between the town board and the town for the work in the right of way, and the letter of no effect or impact from SHPO. And just real quick, I did notice, just wanted to expand on the construction details just want to include, it just expand the parking area to show that 2-inch no reveal curb. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be important too on your driveway section.
She didn't put that on there.
Okay.
I think the revision is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll double check that. I glanced at it quickly.
Okay. Before. Yeah, that was.
So yeah, it's just the remaining comments have been included as the remaining items on there. And, I don't see that as a big deal addressing those. They're all very, very straightforward, very simple.
Yeah.
Okay, in reviewing the resolution, I did see that it noted the date of the plans, but not the revision date, and I think, so if we take the resolution and add the revision date of to 1126 to that. I think I would like to see that addition in the memo. So I'd look for a motion to approve the resolution as described by Rick.
I so move.
Okay.
A second.
Good. Okay, any further discussion on this? As amended, with that date of, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so hand it on back, and I'll sign it. I'm just going to put that quick. Revision. And you can tell me whether this is okay, Judd, or whether it needs to have something else. Okay, thank you. So, and I'm glad to see that this is moving forward. Thanks for being so responsive with the plans. Okay. Next item on the agenda is an extension of time request. This is, first, did we hear from Bruce at all yet?
No, he hasn't written me back.
Okay. It's an extension of time request, calendar number 10-17 PB, calendar number 19-22 SW. This is Mercedes-Benz of Golden's Bridge, 321 Main Street, Golden Bridge, New York. A request for an extension of time for both the site development plan and stormwater permit approval. The current expiration date is March 13th, 2026. Is anybody here from, yes, come on up. So we received a request for the extension in January. And I think the letter that we received said things would be, are moving along and might be done in July. Is that?
That's correct. That's what we were told.
Okay, I'm sorry, I should ask your name and
So
for the.
My name is Anthony Nestor from JMC. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owner, Celebrity Motor Car.
Great.
With respectfully requesting an extension of time for the site plan approval and the stormwater management.
Great. Okay, I love the optimism about July, but I think what we should do is maybe look at a one-year extension just to make sure you don't have to come back. It's not any kind of statement about expecting things to take longer. It's just a,
Give you time.
yeah, right. Things happen, right? So, anyone want to move for an extension for stormwater and
Sure, I'll make a motion for
right,
a one-year
stormwater site plan.
extension
Right.
for site
I'll
plan
second it.
and stormwater.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that we don't have a resolution for. Okay, it is an important project, and I'm happy to see it moving so close, moving along
We're
and
so
so close.
close.
So close, so this is wonderful.
Yep.
And I hope we don't see you again.
Yes. Thank you all.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Okay, the next item is a discussion, and this is the Wolf Conservation Center, Buck Rudd, South Salem, New York. And we've seen this project many times. I think last you were here in October 2025, which might be the biggest gap we've had for a while, but in between seeing you. But okay, why don't you explain why you're here?
Sure. So just for the record, my name is Janet Garris. I'm a partner with Del Bello, Dinelli Weingarten, Wallace Whitaker here this evening on behalf of the applicant. I'm sorry that you have to see us again. We were hoping that you wouldn't. So as you know, we received approvals from this board for site plan, special permit, stormwater permit, tree removal permit, all for the private nature preserve at the property. As part of that private nature preserve, they are intending to also construct an education center, et cetera. We are in the process of ticking off our various conditions of approval. One of the conditions prior to the signing of the site plans, which we are still working on, is to get the approval of all outside permits from outside agencies prior to the signing of the site plan, with the exception of the permit from DOT, which I think is prior to CO. So we are pleased to let you know, and I think we were in the same position that we were in when we were here in October. We needed a minor modification in October in connection with the septic approval. So we have all of the outside approvals right now, with the exception of the DOT permit. Our civil engineer, Matt Gerard, is here from Bibbo, and if you need to know more about that, he can tell you, but he's been working with DOT, so we anticipate that will be shortly. The things that we were waiting for, and the one thing that we were here before you in October, was the septic approval from the Westchester County Department of Health. We did receive that in August, but the last remaining item is the approval of the water system. So we have been working with the Department of Health. I think our application with them has been filed for probably just over a year now. We were promised a decision before Thanksgiving, and I think that's what we advised you of when we were here in October. That promise was then, before the holidays, and then before the New Year, and then before Martin Luther King holiday, and then before Valentine's Day. So here we are. We are hopeful that we are going to get this approval from them shortly. Matt is in regular conversation with them. The issue is that we would like to begin some site preparation work. We don't want to lose the building season. So the plan is to commence construction of this project this spring. In order to be able to do that, there's a lot of site work that needs to happen in advance of that, including tree removal and all of the things that you need to do to get the site ready. Because of that condition of the approval, we're precluded from doing that. So what we've asked you to do is to modify that condition of approval, which requires all of those outside permits prior to the signing of the plans. Mm-hmm. We'd ask that the condition with regard to approval of the water system by the Department of Health, I think we asked that you make it a condition of certificate of occupancy. And speaking with council, I understand that he was uncomfortable with that and would prefer that it be prior to the issuance of a building permit, which is very typical, and I think we're comfortable with that. But what we're hoping is that you will modify that resolution. That would allow us to commence the site work, all the pre-construction kinds of things, while we continue to work not only with the Department of Health, but with your building official towards the issuance of a building permit.
Okay, and I just...
Can I just qualify? The resequencing would be to move it so that we don't put it all the way at
the very end,
CFO, but to have a carve-out. Building permit, but definitely to have a carve-out so that this preliminary work, the tree removal work, the site prep work can proceed.
So it just limits it to the site work.
Right.
Yeah. And that does not require a building permit, obviously, right? I mean, so that's...
Well, to the extent we need permits, right, those permits can be issued for that preliminary work.
For the site work.
Right, the tree
Site work.
removal
Yeah. The tree
is
removal,
part
right.
of what you granted,
Right.
Stormwater. I think we need coverage under the MS4 permit, so we just need to, there are a few conditions that we still need to tick off that would allow us to get to that point, but there are things like posting our bond, which we're ready to do, paying the inspection fee, getting that coverage under the state permit, so those kinds of things, and we are ready to do that. So we are hoping for your support as we continue this journey.
Yes, so, and I think just to be clear to everybody that when you say the water system, this is actually a public water supply because you're visited, so that's part of why this takes a little extra scrutiny from the Department of Health. It's not like you have a well that's just feeding the house. It's a public water supply.
And I'll be honest with you, it's not something that's particularly complicated, and Matt can speak to it even further than me. I don't even necessarily think that it's about the fact that it will end up being a public water supply. I think that this is the time frame for approval of these kinds of things from the Department of Health. I mean, it's not particularly complicated, but we're getting there.
Good.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Kevin, are you comfortable with this?
We still have other outstanding issues
Yeah,
we have to
but-
resolve, and Judd and I should have a sidewalk meeting. I mean, conceptually, a tree permit could be issued, we've done it in the past on other projects. But the water system is obviously an important factor that we really got to get our arms around. I mean,
But can
do
the
we have an
preliminary?
ETA?
So I spoke with Jen Hayes, who's the reviewing engineer, this morning, actually. And I'm expecting her second round of review comments at the end of this week, which is by Thursday. I preliminarily received her comments. They haven't been issued to me in formal fashion until she discusses it with Zothy, their supervisor. But fairly straightforward, nothing really design-oriented, some notations about permit numbers for the septics, information about a sampling plan and how often and where we would be pulling samples from once the system is in operation. Nothing really of any consequence that would affect the design or add components to the system. The initial round of comments that we got from them back at the end of the summer was a little more extensive, and we hashed most of that stuff out regarding design flow and peak demand and booster pump size. And all the components of the system are generally agreed upon. It's just some plan notations and additional information they want regarding when the system is in operation, how we'll be sampling it.
I hear your frustration, I hear Janet's frustration.
There's also some outstanding permits that need to be closed or renewed that we need to walk through with them. Just one more layer of stuff, because we started
Right.
that process. So, yeah, I mean, Judd and I should probably have conversations on timing. We are setting kind of a precedent by doing approval without a water system.
I think we've
I
actually,
actually think you've done that
I
in the
think,
past.
I think we've done it with Mercedes.
We did it with
We
Mercedes.
did it for just the PFAS portion. That's what that went well.
Yes, it was but it
They had a water
was,
system that was approved, but they had the PFAS that they had to deal with
Right.
on that one well. And they did get that
Yeah,
approved.
but I think this project has been looked at so thoroughly, not to say that I'm sick of looking at it, I just want to see it, that although we've done it before, and Judd is comfortable with the building permit for the building per se, I agree with you. If it, at the time of the C of O, that would have been too long. But this seems to be reasonable to me. And under
Yeah,
the circumstances.
The concept is just preliminary site preparation work. We're not talking about any physical construction of
No,
any
they want
improvements.
to do, correct me if I'm wrong, they want to do physical work.
Nobody's coming out of the ground with a
Nothing,
building at this
right.
point.
Well, there's
tree
major
removal?
grading. I mean, we had a preliminary meeting about a week ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, come on up. They would like to start cutting trees and starting site removal and site grading and prep.
That's
all
correct.
part of
Yeah,
that
that's
scope.
right.
right. No,
I
yeah, but
wanna- I don't wanna
no
speak out of
building.
turn. So we're all on the same page.
Yeah, but I don't think that's building. I mean, if they were building that, I would.
Structures, right, yes.
Structures, I would understand it because they would need the water for the structures, but this is site work. And if they don't get the water system, they don't build, so.
Well, and I do want to say, we're going to get this water system.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that, I'm just
We've
saying
already drilled the well.
hypothetically, it seems reasonable that you wouldn't want to lose a season.
But I do want to assure you all that, this process will have an end with the Department of Health, unfortunately. It's,
I totally understand, I was saying that.
yeah.
And if there are outstanding issues, I am happy to sit with you and with Judd and go through those things and try to resolve whatever those things are.
Okay.
Can we pull out, can you do it, instead of just saying before building permit and kind of having this gray area, can we pull a condition of the approval being tree permit silt fence, like just list off what they want?
That's the way the resolution's been drafted. In other words, there's no, without like rewriting the original resolution, we're trying to like figure out a placeholder for this. So the most logical place to put it is, prior to building permit, because we don't want to give the ability to pull a building permit for physical construction of the center, et cetera, without the water supply there, right? So we've placed it in that, but we have a carve-out that they may commence
Right, those.
tree removal, site preparation work.
Yeah,
So I know this was added late, so the CAC probably didn't get it, know about it before their meeting. Do you have,
I've been looking through my emails.
Where was
Didn't
it?
find it, yeah.
yeah, so we added it. Do you have any concerns at all? I mean, I think this is,
I mean, this may be, it sounds like we're further ahead, but I was curious about the tree removal plan. Do we have a mitigation? Do we have a?
yeah, that's all been,
Okay.
that's,
I know we went through this a long time ago. I don't
Yeah, and-
remember where we were, but thank you.
Yes,
And
all
several
of the
different-
required mitigation measures
Okay,
are
great.
approved and will
It's a
be
matter of
implemented.
sequencing.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
sequencing.
Yeah.
this is only change, Judd just said it correctly. All we're doing is sequencing
Got it.
to allow some site work during, if the snow ever leaves the ground, and to, to allow that to start to happen
Got it.
while we anticipate the successful water supply permits. Okay.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Kevin, I guess it's similar to what you're saying is, it's really if you feel comfortable being
Right.
the voice of where that site work, wherever that line of site work is, right? Like, is it tree work? Is it construction access? Is it starting to grade? If you feel comfortable, or do you feel comfortable making that determination once they start?
The only thing we have done in the past, the public record, is tree removal, and that was it. No site work, no, that was a first. But that is, part of the record. That would be the only possible thing we could do, I think, at this point in time. But we should have some more conversations about it.
Yeah, so I know we have done tree removal at the past because we're worried about bat season and getting around it. So I know there are some real timelines. Okay, so it sounds like there's still, but we do have a resolution. It does identify tree removal and site work as elements that can be before. Are you, I guess, are you okay? Have you had a chance to see the resolution?
No.
No.
maybe if we read it, just read the resolution,
You want to read the whole thing?
or that
I think
portion.
it's just the operative.
Yeah, just the,
Yeah,
the,
there's two things. The condition that was tied to conditions to be satisfied prior to the signing of the approved plans. 2E, once read, county health department septic system and water system approval. That's going to be amended just to say septic system approval because
Okay.
they've got it. A new condition 16A will be added under building permit, prior to building permit, and it says the water system approval has to be in place before a building permit can be issued, except the tree removal and site preparation work may commence and be performed prior to such approval, provided no tree removal or site preparation work is undertaken in the New York State right-of-way.
In the next, so, yeah,
I would be willing to move that resolution because I trust Kevin and Judd and Jan to be able to manage this so that it doesn't get into, I'm sure they won't do it, building, but I'm sure they'll be able to come to some conclusion, and Kevin has the ability to stop work at any time. So I would be willing to move that resolution as it is.
So is that a motion?
Yes, that is motion.
Yay, okay. More than willing, you are actually doing it. Are you willing to second?
I can second it, sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure
second.
I'm ready to vote yet, but.
Okay, so, yeah, so let's,
The other thought, does it matter in that condition noting to the building inspector or our consultant's decision of what construction prep
It
is?
says may commence, and obviously, anything that needs to be done is going to have to go through the building department.
Right.
So it's giving the ability for them to pursue.
And so I think that, what we really need to focus on and to not lose sight of is, all we're doing is taking the condition for the water system approval and moving that to the building permit position, which means that all of the other things that we would still normally be required to do in order to be able to start doing this kind of work will still need to be done in advance of us doing that work.
Fully understand that. I'm more looking at I think a little bit of what Kevin is saying of the precedent, because for this application and what you're saying, it's probably moot, right? It doesn't matter. We're gonna get, you're gonna get it, and things are gonna move smoothly. But for other projects, if, tree takedowns for a small single-family home on a vacant lot, and then things change from what, could drastically change the site. So.
I think that's a different, I don't think that you're creating a precedent by doing what you're doing. I think that there's.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think.
I'm not concerned about precedent.
President, no,
because
there's not going to be a project like this.
That and every application stands
Yeah.
on its own.
Okay, yeah.
With its own set of unique, and this obviously is something that has been before the board for years. And if this were the first time we were hearing people lamenting the pace of county Department of Health approval processes, and I'm sure we can work through.
Just for the record, I'm not lamenting. Just stating.
No, maybe we're lamenting.
I wanted to get back to them.
right.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I think,
For the record, I love everybody.
so, I'm thinking, what
I'm
I,
lamenting.
yeah, what I think I'm hearing from maybe Kevin, and again, let me know if I'm not hearing this, that you don't know what site preparation spans.
Well,
Would you like something?
we should probably limit that scope. I mean, there's,
To,
give me a takeoff number, I mean, I
There's
don't want
there's about 4,000 yards of net cut,
to, at least.
yeah, to be
Right.
exported. Yeah.
There's 4,000 yards is how many trucks? I mean, there's a huge site component here.
yeah,
This
but
is
that's
not
gonna,
condoning starting to do that site work by no means until we really, because then we've adversely affected a site. Hypothetically, we didn't get the water system, new wrinkle came in. We now have a site that's not stable. So cutting the trees is one thing, okay? And that's why we need to clarify what the scope would be before a building permit was actually issued. And we should, everybody can all hear the thing, the applicant would like a permit in days. And we're not gonna be there in days.
Can I ask a question, and I have no knowledge of this, but just looking at the weather conditions. If they don't start for this season, and they start very, very late for the season, in the grading and everything else, won't it be more unstable because in the winter, they're not going to be able to start the real building?
It's not that, it's the potential bat situation is where their concern is, and whether there's.
that's in order to cut trees. I guess I'm trying to figure out, if you're worried, let's all say they can cut trees, right? It sounds like you're worried about them actually doing, moving soil around. I'm gonna just try to, so are there things that you're okay with that can be done? I think, certainly there's
There was stuff
road
that they could do that
grading.
had no idea, you know, setting up siltation fence, getting construction trailer, things, site prep work. But starting to do excavation and trenching and things like that, that's full-blown construction.
So that's where my thought is with this language, which probably sounds like it does, Kevin has the line of whatever he says they can stop, where he allows them to go to, like he's saying, right? He can say,
It says may commence, and it's within Kevin's discretion.
Discretion.
so
Within
it's
your
up, so if you
discretion.
feel comfortable setting that line,
I
then,
mean, yeah,
then I
and-
think
and
this,
you're all hearing the same concerns.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have a site hypothetically that the health department takes 4 more months to get their act together, and we blew through a window of opportunity that we all know everyone's worried about, and now we have a site that's exposed for 8 or 9 months that is potentially not stable. And that's, we're hedging our,
Isn't there a way to stabilize this stuff as you go, though? Isn't it sequenced sort of to
Well,
do it?
there, absolutely. I mean, there will be, as an element of the SWIP and erosion control plan,
Yeah.
we'll be managing that.
Erosion and
You know,
control.
kind of where I'm at, and Jen, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn here.
Not at all.
You know, right now, we're talking about making this water system an approval condition prior to building permit, which health department approvals are typically conditions prior to building permits. But in essence, if we constructed this entire building, and on the off chance that 2 years from now, we are still waiting on a health department water system approval because we're going back and forth on the size of a booster pump or how many times we're going to sample for chlorine. You know, the risk is really all on us as the Wolf Center at that point. I mean, theoretically, the only reason that not theoretically, the only reason that water system is there is to serve the public. So the risk of it being a condition to CO rather than a condition to building permit, I don't understand the concern there personally.
Okay.
I think the risk would all be on us as the owners and representatives of this property, that this building would be constructed, and unfortunately we couldn't open it until the Wolf Center got their act together, but the site would be completed and stabilized.
I would agree with Judd that how he has it written, it will allow whatever work that Kevin believes can be done. And it's a good, because you've been before here with many, many things, and we've asked you to do many other things, and you've done them all. I mean, there's a trust factor that I have. I think I've been on the board 5 years, and I've seen you 5 years. And I have a trust factor in that. I have a trust factor in Kevin, that he knows the lines that he is willing to go. Judd wrote that little carve-out, which usually I'm a pain in the neck, but this time I tend to agree with it. I would, again, make that motion.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kelly's
Your name
absolutely
for
right.
the,
I'm sorry, it's Matthew Winter, I'm with Andron Construction. Mr. Kelly's absolutely right, that there is a tremendous amount of site work that has to happen on that site. All of that work has been approved through the site plan approval. We're just, really now, we're just talking about the timing. Take the trees down, do the site preparation, do the cuts and fills, get the road going in there, and we have to do that anyway prior to construction, prior to putting the foundation in the ground. So we're really talking about either waiting a couple of months to start in July or starting now so we can be prepared for when we're ready with the building permit, we're ready with the Department of Health approval. It gives Mr. Kelly some time to review the documents, gives us the opportunity to get going, gives Matt the opportunity to finish his negotiations.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Was there a second?
I second it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, the motion is approved, I need a copy of the resolution to sign. Rick has it now. And I think we are good to go.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We understand position and the conversation this evening, but, the timing is crucial, so we very much appreciate your willingness to consider it this evening as well. Thank you. Thank you to your professional staff and consultants.
And thank you for your patience as we kind of work through what the language really meant in terms of on-the-ground activity. So I think that was helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And again, best wishes. I mean, I know this has been a long journey. It will be, I think the first tree cut will be sort of a celebratory moment. Okay, the next item on the agenda is short-term rentals. So the town has posted on their website an amendment to a proposed amendment to the Lewisboro Town Code for permitting and regulating of short-term rentals. This was not officially referred to us yet. My understanding is at their next meeting, they are going to refer it to us. They're having a public hearing on March 23rd, or opening the public hearing on March 23rd, whether it be closed in that time, I don't know. So my thought is, since that's after our next meeting, we should talk about it now, look at a draft letter, and then we can actually read the letter at the next meeting and make some, and then yay, nay, or amend it. So with that, anybody have any comments that they want to start, or should I run through mine?
I believe you have a number of comments that I read, and I agree with them, because I'm a little lost on how many areas how many buildings or structures or units are allowed on a single property. How is it going to be? Is it going to be a special permit, or should it be a special permit? Should it go to the board, or should it go to us, or the zoning board, or some other board to look at it initially and see whether, in fact, it should be granted initially and then get certifications after that?
Versus just versus just a building permit, or?
Right, or, just whatever it is,
So-
license agreement, whatever they're going to
Sure.
do with
Right.
that.
Yeah, so I wish
Yeah,
legal
I-
hadn't left and Kevin hadn't left at the moment.
So it's sort of...
Because, so the first thing that I think is really not clear and is kind of contradictory in here, in one place it says it should be owner occupied, and on that, and then another place it says the owner has to be a resident of the town. And I think that's really,
Yeah, it doesn't say
It's-
that it has to own or occupy. You could be like, I could own my house and then this house down the road, and...
or in Golden's Bridge, or,
Yeah, and Airbnb it all the time, and then the other piece, then I have a rental, or an accessory
Right.
use, and then I have something else going on.
Yeah.
It gets really a little...
It does say you can only have one, but for
On the
each,
same property.
You can only have one Airbnb, but you can rent another
you
one.
could have a rental, yeah.
You could have a rental, and you could have this,
You could have a short-term rental.
yeah. So you can have both.
Right, and the other thing is that if you're a husband and wife, you could have, one person could have one, and one person could have another.
Right.
I think, so.
Yeah, it gets,
So it's not really clear about, if it's owner occupied, does that mean you could have a unit in the garage that you do? Or does that mean that you leave your house and I think it's really unclear about what the town board really wants and how they really want to, how they really intend to have this offering. I really need Judd here. They talk about it as it's not it should be accessory but not commercial. But then they talk about it can be owned by a corporation.
right.
I don't really get it. I don't understand them. So Judd, I was
had a
taking
quick-
name.
Sorry, just
Yeah,
before
go
you go.
ahead.
I quickly, for the short-term rental, I didn't look it up, that was my own book. Is it standard that 30 days is the threshold where it changes?
That's state law, I
Oh,
believe,
okay.
is that, so they recently did a law, New York State did a short-term rental law that says that if it's shorter than 30 days, it's just short-term rental.
Okay.
If it's longer, it's a regular rental, month-to-month rental.
Right.
So you could do, you could have a monthly rental where you rent
Right.
for, I'm going to rent for 6 months or something, and
Yeah.
that's not a short-term rental.
So that's a defined.
But the minute it becomes 5 days, it's a short-term rental.
Yeah.
So this, I think it's really not clear whether they really want owner occupied or owner residing in Lewisboro. Because in one place, they just say, you have to be a resident of Lewisboro. The second, this wording is really odd for me. It should be permitted as an accessory use, not a principal use as a commercial investment property. So I don't get what that means. I don't know whether they're saying, I mean, if you allowed somebody to own a building that is only used for a short-term rental, it seems to me by definition that's commercial. Maybe it should even be taxed commercially as I don't know, even though it's in a residential, I don't know
Yeah,
what that means.
To me, it seems that you're kind of parsing, like, a residential use is a residential use, right?
Right.
So how do you make,
Well, it can be owned by a corporation.
but I'm saying in terms of like principal versus accessory use, principal, like.
What's the principal?
You can only have like, usually, you can have one principal use on a property.
Yeah, and they're
accessory
saying-
use, and this is sort of like blending.
Yeah, because then you
Basically,
can,
yeah.
you can have an Airbnb, and then you can have a rental for another building.
Right.
You can rent that out. So now you have a totally
I don't think
rental.
so.
Well,
I think we limited
no,
the number.
you did limit, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. but-
No, you limited the number of short-term rentals.
No,
but
we
if-
also limited the number of accessory, right?
But not together.
I-
Not
it-
in the same-
Well, if
You
you
could do
intended
both.
to do that, I'm not sure that the
Yeah,
language is
it's
here.
not-
So
you
that's
have
what,
to repeat
I
the
think
language.
being clear about it is what we need. It does, but I'm also, if something is just a commercial, if it's only used for renting out in a short-term rental,
Then it's commercial use.
then it seems like it's a commercial use.
Right.
So this not a commercial investment property, it seems like it might not be an investment property in that I'm going to own it and sell it to make money,
Yeah.
but it's got a commercial use. So it's, the wording, that language has me really confused. And I really do think that the town, if something is not occupied by an owner and it's only used for short-term rentals, that they should consider taxing it as a commercial,
Yeah.
building.
I don't know how you could do that in a residential zone, but, I mean, it's an investment property, clearly. But I just don't know how you get around. I know you could ban investment properties to be used as Airbnbs. I mean, I think the intent of this could be wrong, that it's your house and you're renting out part of it as an Airbnb on an occasional matter. I think that's the intent of this,
Well,
not to run.
Yeah, well,
business.
Right, but
yeah,
I-
that, and it's, isn't it to avoid that scenario, that someone
Buys the property and
buys
just
a
rents
property
it out.
either in their own stead or through an LLC or whatever,
Yeah.
and then basically is using it for,
yes,
Well,
and
I
that,
think you could even have it in LLC as long as you're the primary owner of it. I mean, that, you know,
well, as long as that.
And you're occupying
A
it.
member of the LLC, yeah, or
Yeah.
or a trust. or
well,
whatever.
it does say here, the landlord and owner is someone who has outright ownership through a partnership,
Corporation or LLC, right. yeah,
corporation,
right.
or LLC. So a corporation,
Well, I don't remember, how many days are they limited?
it's 180 days a
See, that-
year.
that-
That's
yeah.
not, that's not,
That's a
so I
lot.
think that's too much. We'll get to that. But I
Yeah.
think So I think if it is intended that it's owner occupied, that's one thing. If the town is willing to say, you just have to live in the town, but we're going to let you buy a home and do this to rent it out, or buy a home that has a barn and you can rent, the husband can rent one and the wife can rent the other. I mean, I don't know how, it's not really clear. So I think the town really needs to decide, is this owner occupied or is this not?
I mean, I thought that was the intent, it was supposed to be owner occupied.
Okay.
That really would eliminate corporations and businesses and that. And
Yeah.
then my concern obviously is the health, safety, and welfare. So, you know,
Right,
egressing, inspections, you know, fire, smoke, you know, we can't go through what happened in Rockland County where the mother and the baby died.
Yes.
You know, okay, and that's what started this
Dutchess
almost 2
too.
years ago.
Yeah. Well, no, in Dutchess County in March of 2025.
And, you know.
Two,
and then,
another one, a
you know,
mother and a
you
daughter.
condone this, and then next thing we know, we're being sued.
Right, okay.
Can't have that.
No, well, but I think we have to have is a code that's clear
Yeah.
about the
And-
intent.
And I think their insurance policy should be named that they have an Airbnb on there and proof that they have
Right,
coverage
right.
for that.
Okay, so I, just generally talking about and this is where my other question was, my understanding, although not a lawyer, is that when the building inspector looks at something, you kind of look at, does this comply with code? If it complies with code, yes. If it doesn't comply with code, no, and that's it. What I really think would be important, at least as initially set this up, is to be able to impose site-specific conditions. So, for example, and I'm going to make this up, if a person says, I intend to allow people to use my motorboat on the lake, then you might want to say, okay, you have to have, you can only allow people to do that if they have a safe boating certificate, because adults are supposed to have safe boating certificates now. Or if somebody says, I'm going to allow pets in there, we might say, okay, you can have you have a house on a, 1/6 of an acre. You can not have more than 2 dogs at the Airbnb at once. Whereas if somebody is renting a 4-acre thing on a farm, you might say, oh, sure, if you want to have pets, bring 5 of them, bring 10. So I'm saying there's some site-specific, in my view, some site-specific conditions that we might want to put on the operation, because they say each person has to say what their operation, how they're going to operate their Airbnb, their short-term rental. And I think we might want to impose that. And I believe that either the zoning board or us can impose conditions. It's harder for the building department to say, we're doing site-specific
Right,
conditions.
You don't want it open to interpretation. You want
Right.
an ironclad. Rules are good because it makes it easier.
Right,
A sliding scale is not a bad concept, that on a 1/4-acre lot is X, half-acre lot is Y, an acre lot is Z. And then it's crystal clear, so there's no,
right.
open to interpretation.
Right, so the other thing that as I read through this, I saw that the proposal is to have the building inspector, you send out letters and people can object. But it's not clear, I've sent things into various people and you never really know if it's been observed or discussed. And I think one of the benefits of having it before a board is that people say, I hear you, we're hearing a lot of people worried about whatever it is. This is a really narrow road, we need on-site parking because, there's no way people can park off-site, you have to do it in this location. And that, again, is what I would consider a site-specific modification that you might want to make that could go in. Renewals, then I would say send to the building inspector.
I think on-site parking should just automatically be a requirement.
It's not in the code
I'm
here.
just saying,
Yeah.
should, the
Yeah.
draft that I had produced 2 years ago had.
I'm working with what is here now.
I know.
Yep.
It had-
Is there a possibility it can be
and-
made a
and garbage
special permit?
removal and all the
Yeah.
other
Yeah, you could
miscellaneous.
definitely make it a
Because-
special permit, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe it should be a special permit.
I think it should be a special use permit. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what my recommendation would be, is to make it a special use permit.
And then have like the
A set of
language,
conditions, like. in-
certain conditions,
Right.
but within those conditions, the town board can look at it differently. So that would give you the public.
Approving board.
Yeah, the approving board, whatever. And,
We
what-
don't want the town board to look at every one of these.
No.
No.
whatever approving board. you
Sorry,
put in
town
the
board.
special.
Yeah.
And then they can look at it and work with it, as Janet said, because it is really site-specific, and we really want to, I mean, if it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue.
Right.
And I believe Kevin is quite right in that.
And I think,
Does
so,
the health department, you may know this best in this room, should look at accessory dwellings and usage of water and septic any differently than the one bedroom that you know of? I just, you're gonna have a party, there's gonna be a lot more people coming,
I don't think they,
They wouldn't see it unless the building department refers it to them. As I know firsthand, I'm building a garage with an apartment over the garage at my house, and if I were to put a bathroom in there, it would have been referred to the health
Yep.
department, and then I would have to update my whole septic system.
and
Right.
then, under the state code, there's occupancy loads for space.
Right.
Now, the state has enhanced that, made it more difficult. It's not just the bedroom anymore. It's the living room, dining area, which is a new wrinkle for 25, okay? That if you have 2 bodies, the bedroom has to be X square footage. The living room has to be a square foot, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's in the code now.
Yeah.
And should be cross-checked for these suites that
Right.
are gonna be.
right, so I think you're going out and inspecting according to that, in the way that is written up, is really essential.
Has to be.
And I think, but I also think, like, this talks about putting in homeowners or condominium association bylaws and rules. I think the way we get that into is to have a special use permit and have it as one of the sort of conditions. In XX5A, 180 days, North Salem ended up going to 90. 180 days is not only it's every weekend of the year plus some. I mean, it's half of the days of the year. So I don't know 120 seems a lot. Again, 90 is what North Salem does. I've seen some other codes that say 90. I don't remember what your code has had, the first version, but 180 seems like a lot to
It seems
start
like
out
you go
with.
to Florida for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, that's another, so one person did bring up,
And give it to Airbnb and they'll just keep changing.
Yeah.
now, one person did bring up that they, and this is something somebody could cut out, that they travel like 1 week a year that they rent their place out. So we could kind of say, but by the way, if it's less than 9 days, you don't have to go through all this. I don't know. But for safety, you still want to,
I think it's either you do it or you don't.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
Because,
I like that better.
Oh, I thought it was 9, it turned out to be 12.
No, no.
Right.
I like that better.
And how many people are going to be?
And thinking about the safety thing, that's really important. So, again, do you have any sense of how many days make sense? If it's
Not really.
I think you
mean,
should check some of the other municipalities, what they're doing, see, get a consensus. I mean, there are a lot out there at 180, and there are some that are at 90, and,
See, the 90 makes sense to me because it's 3 months, it's the summer. Basically, that's it.
And
The
Or-
just
or
have
you-
a clear, comprehensive list of here's all the requirements you need to have it.
Right.
And then if you want it to be a special use permit, you go get the special use permit. And as long as you hit all these criterias, ZBA should be approving it.
Right. So then they say,
And it's renewable every year.
it's drafted renewable every 2 years. So,
You guys
but
make a
yeah.
determination what it should be.
Okay, so
Well,
and,
so, I'm sorry, just with the days, once again, I did not do enough research on like the back, I read this, but are short-term rentals, do they, and maybe there are studies or not, does that help or hinder lower income usage of spaces?
it usually is, so it usually takes, because you can make a heck of a lot more money by renting them out for 4-day weekends or 3-day weekends. It usually takes properties away from the ability to rent them full-time, and that hurts low-income people.
Right, so I would say, I mean, if the general consensus of what the town's goal is, of bringing more people and having a more vibrant community, I would reduce that as low as we felt comfortable. That would be my
I also,
personal
I mean,
thought.
so as someone who lives in the community with a couple of these, it's really disruptive to have new faces all the time and people parking, not understanding that that this dock, when you have 2 docks, this one is what people use for boating, and this is where people go in when they're swimming. And don't put the boats in the swimming, keep boats away from where people are swimming and,
They become party houses, naturally.
well, so in this, they talk about registration and permit requirements, and they talk about the person, the applicant should put in how they intend to operate their short-term rental, and it includes, one of the things is safety and egress plan. I think they should say, before they advertise it somewhere, whether or not it's ADA compliant. I don't think we can require somebody's house to be ADA compliant, but they ought to tell someone before they get in and realize that they're on the 2nd floor and they can't get out in case of a fire, and that's where the bedroom is. I think telling whether or not it's ADA. The only thing they talk about on parking is parking shall not restrict access for fire or safety vehicles and equipment. I really do think they should have off-site parking.
Yeah.
On-site parking.
What? I'm sorry, on-site, off-road
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, park
park
down at the
okay,
fire
anywhere you
station.
want.
Yeah, okay. I think as part of the application, they should provide any of these association guidelines that were described in Part 4G. I think they should provide proof of a septic pump out and inspection within the last 3 years, since it's going to be, if they have a 2-year renewal.
Then it should be every 2. I mean,
Yeah, right, yeah.
if you're coming up for renewal.
When you're coming up for renewal, okay, so within the last 2 years, whatever.
The system that you and I set up with the building department has worked very
Right.
well. Very little pushback once people understand it.
But I
Because
think, I just want
you
to,
are doing a rental, you are increasing the velocity of what's happening at that septic system.
so, okay, so a septic.
That's where I was going earlier, that,
It isn't in the code, and I'm just suggesting that they require at the application time and at renewal time, proof of inspection. I had said within the last 3 because the code says it's a 5-year. So if it's a 2-year permit, that goes to 5 years. I'm perfectly willing to say within the last 2 years. I'm willing to make it shorter, as long as it's
Well,
not seemed as a burden on the
the only
homeowner.
caveat is some of the fragility, and you of all people know, lake sites, and quite a few of these are lake sites, need to be more often than that.
I'm happy
So
going.
we might need a footnote there.
Well, this would be another site-specific thing.
Okay, I'm just
might say, in lake communities, it might be more frequent, 1 year.
Well, can it just be part of the application?
Yes.
The application is they have to show it. The question is, what do we require?
Right, but so if you did it within the last 2 years,
Yep.
and they did it, you could get 4 years between, and you're saying every 5 years is a septic system, but that's
I
that's
think-
not even health
I
department
think it's every
recommendation.
application.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
they
every
should be-
submission, it has to need a,
Yeah.
every submission
Unless
should just have proof of inspection.
The lot itself or site itself has already been flagged to be a 1-year pump out, then it's to be every year.
Yeah.
Okay. But, yeah, so I'm saying, okay, so within the last 1 year, sure, okay. I think we should include it. I think we should say, prove that you've SEPTA, and then, or provide that you are, because I think if it's Oak Ridge, they're on a sewer system. But, if you're not on a sewer system, provide that. I think they ought to tell us whether the short-term rental will welcome pets, and if so, if there are any limits, because,
Counselor, how do I ensure a naughty child that does this, the hammer for a violation and what that violation would be if you don't go get your special use permit and you just do it anyway?
well, there's,
What's my tool?
It would be a notice of violation and a violation.
Under the section.
It's gonna
Yeah.
take a minute, well, I gotta give notice, I gotta give, 30
Or,
days,
yeah.
they'll go for the whole summer.
Or the other option is a action by the town, under the town law.
Okay,
I tell you, in a crazy situation this past summer in Rockland with a municipality. And believe it or not, there is a outfit that has it's like an Airbnb for swimming pools.
Oh, God.
And there was a house on about a third of an acre in Rockland County in a residential community. And the owners were utilizing this service. And if I told you these were crazy, adult parties that were going on in the middle of this thing, and the town was getting pressure, and we brought a town law action in Rockland Supreme, and we got an injunction. But you can't believe, how people will
They'll do it, and that's why.
do it just to make a few bucks.
Having
Yeah.
a tool in our code
So-
that says, violation of that is $1,000 a day, or whatever, I'm just
Well, I
making a
mean,
number,
we-
to make it crystal clear.
well,
what-
there's,
You really can't. But he's right. If there's anything that we can put in that would allow him
That I have some
to
teeth.
evacuate.
well, can't you do like
Well,
a,
can't you do that under the building
noise
code?
ordinance,
Yeah,
just
just
Yeah, just evacuation of property.
right.
I can, the problem with the notice violations, you get at least 5 days to cure it, then you get, or a month, and it's just, they buy time. And, and then they'll get
Well, I think
a German at court, because, you can, and they'll go for the whole summer.
But I'm not worried about the instance, right? That's just an unfortunate, it would look at that it stops for the future, right?
As long as there's a clear mechanism,
Well-
because
Oh,
right
'cause then
now,
you're
the
saying we could
mechanism
do it again.
really doesn't work
Yeah.
well.
Don't you
What if
say-
children have figured out how to work
Yeah,
the
right,
system?
well,
How
you say
about-
you don't get a renewal if you've had
Might
5,
not have had a permit in the first place.
Yeah, I think I
I
know.
understand what you're saying.
How about that you insist, if that happens, you can get a fire inspection? You can bring the fire department for an inspection.
How about you have to post a bond?
Again, I'm just throwing out crazy.
I
ideas.
think anything
For the
that
permit.
involves, I think
For
what
the permit.
Kevin is
Yeah,
saying.
but he's
because-
saying for people who just do it.
Yeah.
without a permit.
Kevin is
Without-
saying that.
without
yeah,
a permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same thing that everybody has the problem with.
Well,
Once
wait.
it goes into the system,
I'll never
it just
get
takes.
No,
Yeah.
but I
5
think,
years.
I think there's,
I think at that point, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have to go to the town board and ask for a 268 action and bring an action to the Supreme Court, because you can go to the local court, and yes, you can fine, and the fines can be cumulative, but they don't have injunctive power, they don't have equity power.
I think there's something in that New York State law, the new New York State law, that says, that requires reporting by, either Airbnb, by any of the companies, the broker agents, booking agents, or by the owner itself. And if they find out it's not, there's something, I thought there was something in the New York State law.
That would allow immediate action?
That does something.
Because what Kevin's looking is for
Right.
immediate action,
If
and
I
that's
get a call by
understandable.
you on a Friday night, there's a crazy party, and you make me to come up and take a look, and sure enough, there is,
I wouldn't do that to you. Okay,
hypothetically,
Yep.
of course.
yep.
um,
Actually, I might, I have your
And,
number.
and we go there and it's clear, and I have Officer Cody there with me, and I want to cease and desist immediately.
Well, if it's a
Yeah.
wild party, you have a
I'm
noise
just saying.
violation to start with.
Yeah,
But, yeah, that's
having a
something
mechanism
we
that
should
you
look
vi-
at.
You violate the special, once you
Right.
have the permit, you could have conditions in it, you could violate the special use permit, and you lose it for 5 years, 10 years, whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah, but-
That's a tool that
Right.
everybody signs on to agree
Got it.
to run by the rules.
Right.
That's not hard to do. I'm worried about the one that runs rogue.
No, yeah, I
Right,
know.
right.
Does whatever
I
they
guess it's the
want,
same as if someone builds something on their property and didn't get a permit.
and it happens all the time,
Right.
all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I get
I
that.
didn't
So-
This
know.
one is safety.
Somebody said it was
Many times it's a
okay.
safety.
You know,
Yeah, so, so maybe it's the equivalent of a stop work order. I mean, we write something in this that says the building inspector has the right to issue a stop rental
And they can
order.
thumb their nose at it, and you're gonna be back,
Yeah.
you're gonna be in Supreme Court. Because you go to local court, and the local court the only thing you can do is fine.
Okay. All right,
I think those situations is town law, is a town law action. It has to be authorized by the town board, but if it's that bad,
we're trying to
we can
prevent it
set
from
up
being
a shunning in the community where you refuse to talk to anyone. No, I'm just, I mean, but it does seem like there's a certain amount of community pressure if an owner, I mean, that's one of the reasons to think about it as owner occupied. If the owner is doing something wrong and the neighbors say,
cut it out.
yeah, Joe, come on, you know last week there was a party here that was just outrageous, and you guys were out at the Cape, you didn't hear it, but it was just awful. You've got to do something, to do better. If it's owner occupied, you have a chance to do
Yeah,
that.
right.
If it's not, you don't have
You
that,
don't have some of the.
that same
Yeah, right.
identification. So, I mean, okay. Yeah, and so this is where this contradiction is. I think on XX6E, it says, "A permittee may hold no more than one short-term rental in the town at a time and must be a full-time resident and property owner in the town." That does not say owner-occupied, and I think that needs to be clarified. I think the notice of application, you're saying within 500 feet of the lot proposed for the short-term rental, we're going to call it a special use permit. I think they should also, if there is an association, they should also, or a condominium, they should also notify the association, the condominium, whatever it is.
just in case there's bylaws that say that they can't, it
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah, I mean, just, it should be, you shouldn't have to rely on the neighbors to come up with that.
Right.
So this thing says a description of how the recipient of this notice can file an objection. I think that, again, having a public hearing and allowing site-specific conditions to be added to the permit makes some sense. And again, I gave boating examples or dogs or whatever. You've got to, again, I'd rather have the whole thing require on-site parking, but if it doesn't, then in a community, and they might say, you can't get around people in these
Might
lake.
not be eligible.
Yeah.
This is a bonus. This is a
Right.
gift.
So you say that you have to develop on-site parking, or you can't do this, right? Okay. I went through some of these things.
File a site plan
With the planning
Jan's
board.
office and come up with a way to have parking, and provide, so you can have that revenue stream.
Right. So then, the application for the renewal of the permit, it says it's the same as for the initial permit issuance. It's not really clear to me if that means you have to notice the neighbors again or not. I don't know what's right. The building department, you can deny. I think one of the things, if not only the permit fee, if the taxes due to the town are in arrears, we might want to say you don't get a permit. I don't know if there's anything else, but,
Well, if it goes under a special use permit, you have to do taxes, right? Anyway? So if it becomes
this
into
would
that-
be, but if it's a renewal, quite often a renewal is not subject to, so,
But if it were a special permit, it would be a special permit renewal. which
Oh,
would
that's
be
true.
An
We go in
application
front of
back to
ZBA.
wherever
Yep.
the board is.
right.
But it's just good to know, because if they don't want to do a special permit, then
Right.
they should just,
If they're not doing, but I really think we ought to urge a special permit. And again, whether it's ZBA or planning board, I think that the fact that and it might mean that if, 30 upset neighbors show up and say, this place has been operating for a year and it's been noisy, and they set off fireworks at 3 a.m., which down the street from me they did, and we thought it was a transformer blowing up, and it was just really, anyway. So if there's a lot, they might say, okay, you can only, I don't know what
Depending on how stern the ZBA is, they can deny this application until another year.
Right.
And it sends a message to manage your property the right way.
Right. Okay. So they keep on talking about advertising without a valid permit number, so we'd change that to, this is under 10, operation without permit. I think it should all say operating without a valid special use permit. It's not a number. It's just wording. There's a couple of small typos and stuff. That's what I had. So I think, in summary, it's really unclear to me whether they really meant owner-occupied or they didn't, because that's a big thing. And I think it really should be a special use permit, and I think there should be an authorizing board, and if it wants to have renewals by the building inspector, that's fine, and the building inspector can always say, I want to refer this back to a board and have them have a public hearing and talk about it.
New York State has a course overview of short-term rentals, which I am going to look at, but.
I have it. So one of the things.
You looked at it?
Yeah.
I don't know
And one
if
of
I
the
did.
things that they actually said that was interesting, which we might want to, is that apparently the courts have not upheld requiring residency in the town to have a special use permit. But they are okay with owner occupied, and they're also okay with requiring the owner to be there any night that it's
Right.
authorized, any night it's rented. So it's an interesting thing, but that,
Again, I think it's a hard one. Now you're policing, we went to the movies. We
yeah,
didn't
no.
go.
I'm not
There's
saying
an
we did,
emergency,
no.
you
I'm
know.
not saying we should do that,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
mean,
just
that's-
saying legally, the court had a problem with saying you can only own a short-term rental in Lewisboro if you are a resident of Lewisboro, which I thought was odd,
Yeah.
but they can say you can only have a short-term rental if it's on
In
owner-occupied.
owner-occupied.
I thought that was the intent in the beginning, that it was owner occupied.
Has the board stated what their intentions are and what they want from this?
Town board?
Yeah.
I listened to the meeting. It was a very relatively quick thing. They agreed that they should have short-term, that they should have a public hearing with this and hear what the public has to say. So they weren't really firm about their views. When they're not firm, I think we ought to give them our view, our opinion.
Right.
You know, and try to sway them. So I saw you taking lots of notes. Are you going to
Yeah,
draft?
I'll put something draft for March.
Okay.
But, I mean, really, the broad strokes are, this should be a special permit. And this needs to be tied to owner, like,
Occupant.
literally someone who resides at the property.
I think
Right,
so.
yeah.
And I think that would
And
make it,
we can talk about timeframes, you know,
Yeah.
90 versus 180, yeah, but, and a set of special permit conditions. So a special permit has to be accompanied by a set of quote-unquote definite standards that need to be satisfied, but also with an out in
Right.
terms of any other conditions that are necessary to
Appropriate,
protect.
yeah.
yeah. And I think that would be, and I definitely think we ought to add the septic thing. I think if you're advertising.
And the enforcement piece we'll look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people that have called and complained are also about, and I'm not sure how we put it in there, trash.
Well, it does say in here that they have to have,
Yeah, it did say,
Proper receptacles or whatever, and have a contract with, I guess, a light, you know,
Right.
a garbage haul or
Right.
something like that.
well, waste removal plan. Now, this is actually unclear to me. Garbage shall not be allowed to remain outside for a period greater than 24 hours at curbside and shall be kept in an approved container. So I think that means that you could have it outside, or outside, but just not out at the curb. And it should be in an approved container. So,
And again, I think the thought process was, you drag the container up on your way out, house is empty all week
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, and it's sitting there.
It sits there.
The raccoons, the bears, or
Right, right.
coyotes, or somebody knocks it over, and now it's in your backyard.
right, and the waste company, you pull it out on a Sunday night and the pickup is Wednesday, Thursday, you know, by then there's, yeah. So I think that's something that's there. Okay, any other comments? And we'll have a chance to take another shot at this if you read it. I did get an apology from Bruce that he forgot. Okay, but that means it's always good to hear that somebody is healthy and okay. It's not because they, fell down on their way here, right? Okay, so we're done with short-term rental. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Minutes of January 20th, 2026. I'd look for a motion to approve them.
I so move.
a second, sorry.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Our next meeting date is March 17th. I'm pretty
I
sure
will not
that's,
be here.
you will not be here. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I was confused last month. Okay, look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to
I'll-
adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
At 8:52.